We are Legion.
What is going on, Comic Legion? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and this is At Week's End, episode 19. It's moving right along. When I was punching that in, I was surprised at how big that number has gotten so quickly. So before we get into all this cool stuff from the past week, let's check this out. I think I was muted for that intro there, but oh well. Welcome to Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and we got a good week of comics just came through. And before we get into all those, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You want to make sure you go back and check out my 400 subscriber giveaway video I posted this past week. That book right there, First Appearance of Apocalypse, that X Factor issue number 6. That'll be going to the first place winner, as well as if you're able to make the live show, I will be giving out prizes to the people in the chat as well. So if you can make it, it'll be this coming Wednesday and probably be at 9 o'clock as well. I try to do them kind of later in the evening so people in those earlier time frames have time to get home from work and have dinner and all that, and possibly get an opportunity to catch the live show as well. So I'm going to go and take a look at who all is in the chat and say hello. We have Lucretius, 1971. How's it going, buddy? Ruben Guzman, always in there. Cowabunga. We have the Comic Vet. How are you doing today? And if y'all haven't already, if you watched my new Comic Book Day video at the end of it, I always point out that for my top pick as well as another top pick, hop over to the Comic Vet's channel, and we have a collaboration video that we do together that posts every Sunday. So that's on there now. We just started doing that. We have Alex from Tapia's Family Unlimited Comics. How's it going, brother? So we have Alex, who won the last big giveaway I did, and Lucretius, who won the one before that. So we have a few of the previous prize winners in the chat already. Then we have Slotted Up 503. What is going on? And I don't know if y'all checked out his YouTube channel, but definitely go subscribe to it. He made an announcement today that he's about to be doing these big boy mystery boxes, and he's going to be selling them through his Instagram page. I don't remember how many he said he's going to have, but there's going to be like 2 slabs in each one, numerous other books. And one of the mystery boxes is even going to contain some cash to go along with the other books. I think he said there's going to be a $100 bill on one of them. So go check out his video for the details on that and everything. So let's see. We have Remy Q Studios in the chat. I just seen him. Hello, all. How's it going, buddy? What's popping, everybody? It's DJ Lynx back in the building, back in effect. So that's about it for the chat. So we got also have my buddy who just popped in. He's going to be joining me tonight. I'm going to be talking it up. We have new guy Ryan. How's it going, bud?
Oh, what's up, man? How y'all doing?
Doing good. I was just burning through the chat real quick. I see that I have a private. I just noticed I had a private chat. That's your new. That's your new hashtag for sure, bro.
That's my new hashtag.
It's got to be sup. And we have Whack Comics who just showed up. How's it going, man? Dude, they just did another epic 4-hour video.
Another one? Good Lord.
Yes, they did. And me and Finn made a brief cameo in it. I was getting ready to head out the door, and I was putting Finn's shoes on, and Lee messaged me and asked if he could video call me real quick. And me and Finn ended up being in the video very briefly.
That's what's up.
It is bedtime, little elf. Go. He comes walking in here dressed as an elf playing with a fishing pole.
The weird stuff that kids do.
You got the candy right there? All right, buddy. Bye. He still can't get over the flip lens on these live videos. He's like, why is it on this side?
Oh, yeah, the mirroring effect.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Off to bed. Go. Love you. Good night. All right. Go. Oh, God. But, yeah, I was trying to finish reading a book right before we went live. Love you, buddy. All right. No, we're not going to keep going. I was trying to finish reading this Other History of the DC Universe issue 2. It's one of the Black Label books. This is like the first thing John Ridley got on at DC. And I have the history of the DC universe, which is like a 2-part kind of like small trade paperback size book from the late 80s. And so I was excited for this. It was kind of like just another installment to that, but from the perspective of the disenfranchised characters or more the minorities. And that first issue kind of focused on Black Lightning, and this one's kind of on Bumblebee. And man, he's so forgettable. But his name's Mal, and he's gone through different characters. He was the Guardian briefly from like the bonus stories in the Superman book. And he was also another character like a hornblower. But yeah, I'm not enjoying this one at all. It seems like just a crap shot at the history of the Teen Titans. It's kind of just trying to make them out to be horrible characters for, I don't know, they're trying to make it like they didn't include these characters in things, even though they were included in it, but they were just low tier characters. I don't know. And then they crapped on the fact that Cyborg got put on the team when the new Teen Titans. I don't know. It just feels like an unnecessary assault on the history of the Teen Titans in this issue. It's kind of weird. It is. It's very weird.
I remember when the first one came out a couple weeks ago. That seemed to be like one of everybody's favorite reads of the week. So
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
That's weird that they dropped the ball.
Well, I don't know if they've dropped the ball as much as they amped up what they were doing, because they're intentionally writing like kind of retconning between the cracks of the past to make it look like the Justice, like with issue 1, the Justice League coming to Black Lightning and asking him to join the team, like instead of that being looked at as a good thing because the team was wanting him on the team originally, they're retconning it to be like, oh, the Justice League is only asking him to try to hit some kind of quota for minorities on the team. And the manner in which they asked him, they kind of made him try out first. And they're taking something that wasn't a negative event and they're spinning it to be a negative event. And they kind of did a little balance in this one, because there's this scene where Bumblebee is kind of judging Superman for the way that he introduces Kara into the world, that he didn't just find her and just let her come out and do her own thing, that he held her back and said, we'll get you out there when you're ready. Like he was the one deciding that. Like in the words of the writers, he was the one mansplaining to Kara how it was going to be. But then they kind of course correct, because you get to the point where Crisis on Infinite Earths happens, and the character that was narrating said, now I understand why he was protecting her while he was doing what he was doing, because none of us have actually known death and loss on the level that Superman has until this Crisis event. Now we all see what he was carrying his whole time he's been here. So I really like that. But I think what actually got me, like the little details of the retconning, I can get definitely. I mean, I don't have that kind of personal experience to kind of necessarily get what they're going for with some of this, but they take an actual true crime event from a serial killer here in Georgia back in the day. His name was something Williams. Blah, blah, blah. But anyways, this is actual artist.
What's his name? The Strangler? Oh man, I think I know who you're talking about.
There's like his name was Wayne Bertram Williams, and there's like 30 missing kids that popped up dead for years, and they proved that this guy killed 2 of them, and they kind of pinned the rest of them on him. But what Bumblebee goes out of her way to do is say that all of these killings that were happening in Atlanta were not important to any of these superheroes, or Flash would have went and ran around and find out how to stop it, or Superman would have swooped down. They basically crap on every superhero exists for not going over there and solving a true crime murder. I'm like, why would you do that? They're like, well, these dead children of color are not important to these superheroes. I'm like, that's not the case. If you can go back through comics, Marvel and DC alike, and they've been stories of inclusion and like very progressive for their time eras and everything, So it's just, I just think it's kind of unnecessarily disrespectful to a lot of these characters' mythos.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird. That's kind of a weird shade to paint yourself in. Like, why would DC let something like that? That seems like a weird like image problem, you know,
Yeah.
like
Like I said,
bad optics, you know, like realistically, we as human beings have to understand like Superman and the Flash are like the fastest things alive. So realistically, they either can or cannot save everybody, you know. So we understand that, but it's kind of weird for like DC to put those kind of optics on themselves, you know.
and there's plenty of stories out there that deal with like talking about Superman, because we've talked about Superman a little bit this week and how he's not really like the forefront of the general public's interest. And it's just because, like, again, things come in ebbs and flows. Different characters are more relevant at different times. But Superman is a very, very vast character with so many different angles to him. And if you have the right writer on him, he can be relevant at any time. And that 45-minute kind of documentary I sent you, if you ever get a chance to watch it, definitely check it out because you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's been numerous stories where Superman has struggled with the fact that he can hear everything, that he can be anywhere at any time, but he can't be everywhere at once. You know, like while he's saving one person, he's listening to people die over here, and he can't do anything about it. And they deal with that, and even in the ultimate cut of Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, they do not get into this at all in the theatrical cut. But the big thing with why Batman was mad at Superman and how Lex was pitting them against each other was the fact that who gives him the right to choose who gets to be saved. And that's what he was struggling with. Like he went and talked to his mom about it, Lois about it, and all that was edited out of that theatrical cut. But they get into all that. I don't know why they took that route. It's kind of hard for me to finish. Weird. We got like 3 pages left. They're beautifully drawn. They're well written. Like there's nothing wrong with the actual writing. It's just the content's odd, man.
Yeah, that's strange. Maybe they're gonna do something with it that turns it all around.
I don't know. They did a little bit of course correcting on the old Superman showing his male dominance over Kara, but I don't know. Let's talk about some books that were. Wait, here we go. Superman needs James Tynion for at least 12 issues with no Lex or Brainiac. And that's funny because speaking of Brainiac, when they were talking about the real life murderer, she said that the superheroes like Superman and Flash didn't want anything to do with this because they only wanted to deal with threats that they could win. Brainiac, Superman can beat no problem. Lex, Superman can beat no problem. But this, Superman can't deal with.
Yeah, that's weird.
That doesn't even make sense. Like Brainiac and Lex, which they pointed out are like the biggest threats to this guy that have ever been.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think Tynion would be good on Superman. There's a lot. I think Joshua Williamson needs a run on Superman. I think that he's a very intimidating character to have to write, though.
No, yeah, Joshua Williamson would be amazing. The way he handled the Flash is exactly how somebody needs to handle Superman. Make him feel classic without actually being classic, you know?
You know, Joshua Williamson writes the Superman Batman book, you know, the title that's just called Batman Superman. And it's not really heavily tied into the overall continuity of what was going on with the Snyder's big connections and everything. But they were just they were fun stories. They were action packed. They had tons of character and tons of heart in them. And he really understood the dynamic of those two characters. He just does them well. But he's just a good writer.
Yeah, he did the Future State Justice League also. That was another one that felt like he writes the way he wrote Flash and Justice League was it feels very like golden agey, silver agey, but like it's not, you know, and that's what I really like. Is
wasn't Rom V also on Justice League?
He did Justice League Dark.
Yes, fired. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that one was better, but I mean I think the source material is also just like better. Yeah, but the way that
cooler stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think there's any way Justice League could have compared to a good writer on Justice League Dark. You know.
Yeah.
It's just naturally that much more interesting to me. So, but yeah, Justice League, that story, the way that it tells the story, you know, again, like you get this big action piece and everything kind of like comes in and sets this moment of intrigue. And then you get this big splash with the title and everything. And then you get into, it feels like a 90s cartoon animated series episode or like a golden age story in a comic book, you know?
And then there's major twists. Like he's great with twisting. Like he builds your expectations with those classic kind of tropes, for lack of a better word. Like, here's a classic introduction. Let's move over to the villains masterminding their plan to stop the Justice League. We're going to introduce you to them. You're going to get to know them. Then you're going to turn the page, and they're all dead. Every one of them brutally murdered. Did not see that coming.
No. Oh, that was so good. Yes, that
Like,
was
you
a great
think you
intro.
know what I'm going to do? Here's your classic formula, and I'm going to break the bottle.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And I like that he used some villains that, like, I'm not off the top of my head familiar with those villains that they pulled out of the Hall of Justice vault.
Yeah. That was something that Future State in general has actually done a pretty decent job of, is like pulling all these like weird characters, you know. As bad as Legion of Superheroes was, I thought it was interesting that they tried to pull some very obscure characters and make a book worth selling, you know, or soliciting, I guess.
And a lot of them were actual Legionnaires. And it was not the ones that were kind of like that you saw the team coming together, but all the ones that were kind of like on that council.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of actual Legionnaires, and Saturn Girl, she just looked way different. I don't know if that's supposed to be the same Saturn Girl, but with a big head. But some of the design work was insane, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read that Robin King one shot from Death Metal, but it's the same interior artist that did the Legion of Superheroes, and it's kind of cartoon gritty. It's odd, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I thought the artwork, I don't know, like there was a lot of elements I really liked about it. It just didn't really land for me.
I think it was just too chopped up. Finn, are you leaving? Are you leaving? Where are you going? My son just walked by my peripheral straight to the front door. Where are you going? Okay, we'll go back to your bat cave. That sounds like a good idea. No, just go to the bat cave. Love you, buddy. This little elf streak by. I'm like, what? Dude, go to bed, man. He's too cute to yell at. I know you saw that picture that me and him took with our Clayton Crane.
Yeah, my pew pew has been.
Dude, go find your red pew pew somewhere else. He calls guns pew pews, and we've been in my attic and going through boxes and boxes of Marvel Legends because I wanted just to put some more out, trying to kind of change up the display.
Yeah.
I've gotten some stuff back from grading that I haven't put up yet. So I got my Ghost Rider out and the Symbiote Spider-Man and the old Toy Biz Thanos from 95 and then the Marvel Select from 2005. He was headed back to the North Pole. That's my LCS owner. He's an awesome guy right there.
That's what's up.
He just grabbed his leapfrog reading thing and dragging it behind him out the room. But anyways, I apologize. Legion of Superheroes was horrible.
Yeah.
That was the only one that I can say. And it's not that it wasn't for me. I like the Legion of Superheroes. I enjoy those books. I enjoy those characters. It was just bad writing, man. And I try to go up to bat for what's his face?
Bendis,
Brian Michael Bendis. Just because, I'm kind of biased towards Superman a little bit. You know, it's hard to go wrong on him for me. And Bendis's run didn't just break my heart like it did everybody else's for some reason. But they were kind of amping up this Legion of Superheroes book in the back of every other Future State book the week before. And I read all the details for it. And it sounded like it was going to be fun. And then you just kind of get this
wall of text.
Yeah, this unintelligible mess.
Oh my God, there were whole splash pages in there that had more text than art. I was like, why?
Classic McFarlane trope right there. You would always find that random page in his Spawn books where it's just a single page splash and just nothing but text.
Oh my God, it was miserable. I hate it. It really messed up the pacing because like it would start out with like this heavy dialogue and then you would kind of start to get into some motion and stuff. And then you flip the page and it's just like another wall of dialogue. And you're like, okay, now I got to slow down again. And then like 2-3 pages later, boom, there's another wall of dialogue. And you're just like it ruins the pacing for getting through the book, you know?
And then there's pages that were the complete opposite, like when you see the heavy set cannonball dude just bouncing around and
Oh yeah,
it's moving so fast that you can't even figure out which panel's next. It
yeah,
just wasn't really put together very well. Like the planning for that book, the layouts were not very good.
yeah, yeah. It was I don't know. I would say almost like textbook worthy example of bad execution on like the format and construction of a comic book in general.
I hate just tearing something apart like this, but
Yeah, we can move on. There's really nothing else to
yeah,
say
yeah,
about it.
nothing else to say. Go ahead. What do you
It
got?
was bad, yeah. Man, Nightwing. Okay, I've always liked Nightwing as a character because I feel like, say, like Robin. Like it feels like Robin just eternally lives in the shadow of Batman, whereas like Nightwing, he went to a different city and he kind of has the same vibe, but like everything about his personality is kind of like Batman adjacent. And so I've always liked him as a character. Reading Future State Nightwing #1, I liked it because they actually turned that around and they kind of had next Batman prove himself as a Batman. And I thought that was cool because who would know what a Batman is better than Dick?
And I like how he was completely expecting him and ready for him. Because when he's held up in Arkham, that's like his staging ground is the old rundown Arkham Asylum. And when Batman shows up, he just basically has traps sprung for him. And long story short, he's waking up strapped to a chair. He's like, "You didn't look at my identity, did you?" He's like, "I don't care what your identity is."
Yeah, like that is not the important part of this.
Yeah, the important part is you're about to fight with me. I knew you were coming, and everyone else is coming too. Yeah, I thought
Well,
that was
I
really
thought it
cool.
was really cool that instead of like verifying, like he still verified his identity. Like that was what was really cool. Was like he don't care who is under the mask. He was verifying his identity in the sense like, is this the same Batman that I'm hearing about?
Yeah.
Like I
He's
thought
on
that was
top
a
of
really
it.
cool twist on that little scene.
And I'm expecting a little bit more out of this, not from the actual little 2-issue story they're telling, but in relation to how it's going to connect with his
Teen Titans and his
personality in
turn.
Teen Titans. Yes, because we know from Robin Eternal that he's stark raving mad, just held up in Arkham, and I think that might have just been in kind of suggesting that he's crazy in the sense that he's trying to take on the magistrate by himself. He's got zero chill. He's going like
Well, there's
headlong
nothing
into
left
it.
to lose. Yeah.
Nothing to lose. At least he thinks he doesn't at this point. In the year 2025, with the knowledge he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be weird how that translates to because the
Well, I
Titans take
assume we're
place in
kind
the
of going to
same
get
years.
an. I assume we're kind of going to get an ending to the second one the same way they handled the Flash, where like it was like
leads you into another one.
yeah, like I feel like Teen Titans 2 is out next week, right?
Yes.
So I think that one, the big puzzle piece there, instead of like how we got that Flash puzzle piece in the first one, I think we'll get a Nightwing puzzle piece in issue 2 of Teen Titans, and then Nightwing #2 will kind of end with putting that puzzle piece in place to the Teen Titans story.
Well, their Teen Titans is 2 years in the future beyond Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you think Nightwing will give you the puzzle piece to take you to
like I think there's going to be a hole somewhere in Teen Titans 2 that like there's one piece of information we're still missing, and then whenever Nightwing 2 ends, it'll end sort of like the Flash, where we get a scene that basically tells us this is the piece you're missing.
this is where it goes into the story.
And once that plugs in, then I think like Flash and Nightwing and Teen Titans will all kind of like fall into place all at once.
And I saw the cover for Shazam. Like Shazam was kind of connected to this Flash Titans story arc, and how heavily I'm not sure, because we know that Flash was dealing with the Riders of the Apocalypse. We know that the opening scene of Shazam 1, they're talking about the Riders of the Apocalypse. We know they make a reference that the 4 riders were enough to take out all the Green Lanterns. So they kind of hint that that's why they have no power batteries for their rings anymore while they're powerless. So I'm wondering if it's going to actually be a villain in Shazam, if that's who Billy's holding back, or judging from the cover, if it's going to be something even worse than that, and it's one of the Titans members. As that cover for #2 looks very similar to a very specific Titans member, and she's probably the most powerful one on the team, hands down.
Starfire? Raven?
No, Raven. it looks a lot like Raven with like kind of an Eclipso look to her. So I don't know if she's the big batter because you
Yeah,
saw
that,
she was sitting there talking to Red X down. Wasn't she talking to Red X? Who it was she was talking to? Running the scenarios, the fight scenarios, trying to figure out how to survive it because they never show you who it was. And I'm assuming it was the same cell that Dick went and got Red X out of.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, at least that's how I interpreted it. So I think so. Yeah. And what did you think about the Flash too? That
Dude, I absolutely loved it.
I thought it was
I
cool.
Man, talk about twists. He
I
was
would be all in on like an Old Man Barry series, kind of like Old Man Logan or something. Like
yeah.
I really liked Old Man Barry with no powers but knowledge of the Speed Force and just like straight science and like gadgetry. Like I would love to see a series of just that, you know.
Ooh, here we go. We'll get there in just a minute. Don't worry about Black Jeremy. Don't worry at all. He was not a fan of them. I'll go ahead and say that, but I'll be happy to do my best to convince him here in just a few. The Flash stuff I thought was really cool with the setup. Who wrote that first off? Do you remember who was
Uh,
writing that one?
yeah, that one's written by this is his first comic, but he's a
That was
writer
his first
for
comic.
but he's a writer for DC Animation, and he wrote I think the Judas Contract
Oh
movie,
wow.
like
Yeah, that
animated
was
movie,
the like
and he wrote
screenplays.
another one of those too. Yeah, so like he has experience with the characters and writing and stuff, but I think this, at least as far as I could find, this is his first comic.
Well, that
But
isn't too far fetched because with like animations, you're dealing with storyboards. With
mhm,
storyboards with a screenplay, and you put those together, you get a comic book. So he did a fantastic job.
yeah,
I thought it was really cool that first one where you're thinking that Wally's kind of holding back from killing Barry or this person or that person because he's still in there fighting against famine that was inside of him. But when you really find out that twist that he's intentionally not killing Barry because Barry's been the mark the whole time. He's been
yeah,
feeding off of Barry, not Wally. Wally's gone.
yeah.
Wally's just not there. He's unchecked out. And
Yeah, I did
that
feel
was
like the
nuts.
last couple of pages there where they're just like kind of, I don't know, mansplaining the whole like thing and stuff because of like how detailed they got. It did slow down. Like that part slowed down a lot for me. It got a little heavy, but the rest of the book I really enjoyed. I love that fight, the way that like they went about handling Barry with no powers, you
Dude,
know?
he was something to be want nothing to be messed with. He knew what he was doing.
Yes. It was so Batman the way that he was just like prepared for everything and kept like setting up
Everything.
the next phase. Yeah, like it was so cool. I really liked it. I liked Old Man Barry. Like I want more of that character.
Yeah, dude, sounds crazy, but I'd like to see more of just possessed Flash running around doing his thing. But like
Yeah.
get like not necessarily just slaughtering, but run up against some other villains that might hold their own briefly. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did
that's the
like
thing.
the
Like I felt like this future state Flash, like it was a little dark, it was a little heavy, you know, kind of weird for the Flash in a lot of ways, but I really like a lot of the concepts and characters that came out of it.
I think that was the first thing I messaged you when I finished reading it. Bro, Flash was so dark.
So dark. Yeah. It
It
got
was
really dark at the end there.
yeah, there's no hope at all. Well, I think that's all that there was hope.
What did you think about Aquaman?
Dude, I enjoyed Aquaman. I didn't know if I'd care or not, but it turned into a beautiful book. I enjoyed seeing Aquaman's daughter again, just kind of a little bit of backstory before we get to her time on the Justice League team and book. And Aqualad from Young Justice, the animated show, he was kind of the forefront of this one. And he's a cool character if you watch that. He's like Black Manta's kid,
Hmm.
which gives him that rough around the edges kind of attitude. And I did catch all the slick visual steals from the actual Aquaman movie, like when they had him chained up. That was like pretty much just like a straight from screen to comic where they were drawing
Yeah.
some visuals. But I thought it again took a really dark turn, and I don't know. I like how they started world hopping, kind of dimension
Hmm.
hopping. The concept of finding this cosmic ocean that connects everything, and they're kind of just going through it. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, like probably the second half of the second act, I started to feel like it was getting a little slow and drawn out, you know. And I started to wane a little bit, but definitely the end there caught me back, like wrote me back in. I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool, you know. But I agree, like all the exploration through like the cosmic ocean, and when they're getting chased by the big turtle tentacle thing, like
Mhm.
all of that stuff was really cool. I thought the way that they handled that fight and stuff was really cool. So I'm
She
excited
had
to
that
see what
total
happens with
moment that
Aquaman too.
had that total moment of becoming like her dad though when she kind of and I had a panel I had to flip back for a second when he was holding on to her and she was telling him to let go and he wouldn't let go and you just see her swing and he's falling. I'm like, how's he falling? And then I turn the
Yes,
page again. I'm like, oh my god, she
yeah.
just chopped her own arm off here.
Oh, 100. I did the exact same thing. Like I was going, and then I was like, wait, something's not like adding up here. And I went back. I was like, oh, she cut off her own arm to
Yeah.
like whoa, that
So
didn't see that
that's an
coming.
example of the opposite of Legion of Superheroes. That's an example of expert page layout where you
Yes,
think that you're missing something, but they're not revealing it to you yet. And you turn the page and it's that first panel on the next page. And you're like, whoa.
yeah,
Like not only did they hold it from you for a second, but you literally think that they didn't include something. Like they made an error. And then you're like, oh man, that was smooth. That was really smooth right there. It's like in a movie when someone's holding someone's hand in like a war movie and you look at him and then it looks back and slow pans and there's only a hand and there's no body left.
yeah. Yeah, it was so cool the way they did. Like I don't know. I had that feeling. I know what you mean. Where it's like everything's in regular speed, and then like whenever they cut, and it just like hits slow mo, and you see everything falling away. You know,
Yeah, it
I
was
was like,
really
oh my
cool.
god, that's cool.
Now, I like that he was talking about and kind of getting into his there's a lot of character growth in this issue. This one single
Mhm.
issue for Aqualad when he was talking about how he was like his potential and flashing those conversations with Mira, or not Mira, with Aqua Girl is what he called her, even though she insists on being called Aqua Woman.
Aqua Woman.
Yeah. But like the fact that she came back and he kind
Better
of
put some respect on it.
yeah. But when he sensed that she was alive and he kind of amped up and kind of got that little boost and he kind of told his
Mhm.
captors like these machines, yeah, they're meant to hold me and they're holding me just fine, but y'all ain't seen me turn up yet. And he just had that last
Yes.
panel with him walking when he just pulls the water and just drops the sword. You're like, okay, it's about to go down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool stuff, man. I don't know, it felt like he was basically like, yeah, you know, like I've been depressed, but I have something to live for now, and so
Yeah.
you aren't gonna like what I have to live for.
Yeah, yeah, the single mission was to keep her alive for his king, and
Yeah.
he thought that he had failed it. So it's about to go turn up to a 10, which that's what I'm hoping happens with the Kara book, which I'm not expecting it to. From
I'm not even gonna
Pacifist
give that
Kara
one the
issue
chance.
1 to issue 2. Well, no, you got to use this cup. Go tell mommy. She'll know what.
Spoken like a true toddler.
Yeah. He said, I want my Paw Patrol cup right now and hands me the Mickey Mouse cup. Like, no,
Yeah.
Ben,
Like the drink
it's a
inside is gonna be affected by the shape or color of the cup on the outside.
he kind of likes his cups to match what's going on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I might be guilty of the same thing.
Right. Man, what about Wonder Woman #2, man? What did you
All
think of
right.
that?
I hope that Remy Q is still in the chat because just as a blanket statement, I enjoyed Wonder Woman 2. There's a
I thought
there's
you
a
were gonna say
lot
exactly what I'm thinking.
there's a lot to unpack with this book. There
Yes.
is a lot to unpack with this book. First off, if you take it as its own, it's a good book.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you take it in the bigger picture, I don't even want to get into that yet because it is flawless execution with how they're handling Yara Flor through Future State. Absolutely flawless.
Well,
Different writers on different books, and they clearly are in cahoots with each other.
yeah.
That's funny. No.
Like in my opinion, the amount of good that Wonder Woman #2 is completely credit to the creator. It's Noel Jones.
Jolie Jones.
Joe. Yeah. Okay. Well, like this. Okay. There are clearly like 1 and 2 pages that were supposed to be whole issues. Like this, there's no way you could convince me that this was supposed to be less than like a 6-issue origin story for this character, because there is so much in this issue that they could have done like a whole single issue about.
All right, again, I haven't seen Remy in the chat, but I'm going to break this down really quickly, and possibly send him a timestamp if I have to later. Wonder Woman Future State was tasked with doing something very difficult that other characters weren't doing. This whole concept of Future State was attacked before it was ever out. Just the inception of the name started getting railed by people for saying they're going woke, they're recasting our characters, where's all the classics? So she was one of the first ones, her and the next Batman. So what this book had to do is introduce us to a brand new character without crapping on the original character, letting her be her own character and filling the boots of Wonder Woman herself. That being said, they've done that. They have the iconic costume. She's in an environment that Wonder Woman would be in. She is fighting the same type of battles Wonder Woman would be doing. You see the similar personality traits where she's like big into the sisterhood. She's tight on the mythos of her own gods, but they've created her own character in a sense that she's younger. She has a whole different attitude. You can see where she's completely hot-headed. She's sarcastic. She has no respect for her own mythology around her. The environment she lives in, this completely mythological environment, she just trashes it. Everything she touches, it's all about her. And we see where that has absolutely backfired in this. So we're seeing all of her character flaws that separate her from being a classic style Wonder Woman get addressed in this 2 issues, and how that actually hinders her, and how that is a problem where she can't let go. She has nothing to do with the concept of acceptance, or she wouldn't be in this mission to begin with. She wouldn't have gone on this quest. She lost a sister in battle who gave her life to save Wonder Woman, and she feels slightly responsible because she was holding her at the end there when she fell and died. So she couldn't accept that. She has to go get her because she's selfish, where Diana is not selfish. Completely backwards concepts here with these 2 characters. She goes to get her. And she, even with her guide taking her, telling her, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, she won't listen to a word she says because she's arrogant. She has no ability to follow direction. She wants things her way, and she wants them when she wants them. And she wreaks havoc as she goes in here. And we see all that, how it backfires in here, how it completely doesn't work out for her. And by the end of this, she's having to deal with loss that she couldn't deal with to begin with. She's having to learn how to slow her roll in this, not think so arrogantly and hot-headedly, to let go of her anger to even get to her fallen sister. So all those things that separated her into her own character, it would probably be problematic along the way. They used that into the character building and the story arc of these first 2 issues. And they did it in a familiar environment enough to make it feel like Wonder Woman. So because of that, I thought it was smart. It was brilliantly executed. And if you're following the other titles that she appears in, which would the next one would be Superman, Wonder Woman, you see those character changes have happened. You see where she's not quite hot-headed. She's trying to get along with other people, but she still has that attitude in there. They established that in the first few pages. She still has it. Then take it over to Justice League that's even farther in the future. She's Wonder Woman. That is full-fledged Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, just like all the stuff with her sister that was in this second book, like that was like easily 2 issues, and I'm sure they could find some other stuff that would be significant to the character development to turn that part alone into like 3 issues, you know? And it was like, there's just so much in here that moves so fast. Like when she gets into that sea of sorrows and they're pulling her under and everything, like all of that stuff could have been just like a whole issue by itself, you know? Just her accepting to let go and sink through the hands, like an extremely compelling issue, you know? And so I'm disappointed that like the book got, you know, compressed all the way down to just 2. But at the same time, I'm really impressed at how well they were able to pull just 2 issues of this off. Now, and then again, like you said, across the universe, she's been very consistent.
definitely need to make a distinction here for Remy Q Studios. There are going to be some books out there that are just not your interest. They're not your taste. They're not your style, but they're still good. There's going to be some books out there that are bad, that are poor, that are from a writing standpoint, an illustration standpoint, it's below par, but you might enjoy it. That might have been the case. But this book was handled very, very well.
Yes.
And yeah, like Kara Zor-El Superwoman, it's written fine. The artwork in it is beautiful. It's not my taste. The kind of I feel like if I gave that book to my 13-year-old daughter, she would love it because she reads a lot of mangas and stuff, and I feel like for her age range, it would have been perfect. But
sometimes the elements just don't come together, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've read plenty of books where it's like the art, the writing, everything is like on point. It's firing on all cylinders, and then the book overall just not great. Like they don't come together, you know. Other times you see like, you know, stuff that's not that great, but for some reason as a book, like you're just like, I like this. It's fun to read.
And another example is King in Black #3. That just feels like fast food comic writing to me. The issue where like it was just there was no story progression, there was no character development on any level. There was just a fight scene and a little teaser at the end, and everyone loved it. I had fun reading it, but it wasn't a great comic by any metric that I know to measure them by. It was just an issue 3 of an event, but I still enjoyed it. When it comes to what would you consider like is a better example of good comic writing and illustration and panel-to-panel work, I would put Future State Wonder Woman issue 2 over King in Black #3, even though the general public was definitely more widely receiving to King in Black 3 just because of the hype, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And I still enjoyed it, though. It was fun. And I intentionally picked that example for Remy Q Studios because he was heartbroken when he saw Thor get stabbed.
Ran him through.
Like ran him through. He's not dead, though. He's down, but not out. It'll buff out. See, what other big ones were on?
I was going to say the only other Future State one that we haven't really talked about is Swamp Thing, too.
Real quick, Superman and Metropolis, same exact formula as Wonder Woman. Same formula. He appears in his own first title earlier on in the timeline. Then they appear together in the next 2 books.
Together.
The unrefined, rough around the edges, learning curve kind of stuff. And same exact formula they're using for Yarrow.
What did you think of it? I didn't read that one. I read the first one, but I didn't read the second one because
it was cool. It was fun. What Brain Cells did was, he kind of took the city for his own.
Put it in the jar and all that stuff.
And he took Jonathan, and they dipped out. Jonathan's thinking he's going to just go face up Brain Cells, and he's like, "You can try, but you got to get through these people first." And he has clones of Kal-El that come out from the different ages. You have like Action Comics from New 52 clone. You have the clone that got killed by Doomsday, and so he's having to fight his dad for most of it, which was really cool. And while he's fighting them, he's trying to figure out how to shut Brain Cells down. But it was pretty cool. Wasn't nothing to write home about, but story-wise, if you're reading the Future State as a whole, it was enjoyable, again, because you can see where these characters develop and connect through the other books. But it wasn't nothing special. It definitely wasn't bad.
This one's up. I might go back and read that one. We'll see.
You read Harley Quinn too?
Oh yeah. I read Harley Quinn.
Nice, right?
Yeah. I like the way that it played out in the end. It was really cool. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. It's still not like one of my favorite books of the Future State stuff, but it's not bad. And again, it's one of those things like where it's well done, but it just didn't really connect with me that way. But it was good. It was impressive.
I'll tell you what, the way it ended with making Black Mask seem menacing, man.
Yeah.
They made him seem like some kind of crazy, formidable villain. And I think it was funny that they kind of just crap on Scarecrow. Because I've always just taken him as a lame villain, man. He's just such a lame villain. Because to have a villain for Batman that deals in fear when Batman's like, he's the dude that deals in fear. That's what he does without the toxins,
Yeah, exactly. I've always thought the same thing. I'm like, fear is kind of one of Batman's elements. Like,
That's like saying Frosty the Snowman has a new villain. His name's Mr. Freeze. Come
if
on,
anything,
man.
I'm kind of surprised Batman doesn't carry like Scarecrow fear toxin in a like pellet form or something. You know, like
Yeah.
it's kind of weird that he's a villain for somebody that kind of deals in the same thing.
So,
But it was
Future
cool that
State
Harley Quinn got the mask and all that. I thought that looked really cool
Oh,
in the
yeah.
way they handled it. Little disappointed she threw it away at the end. I was like, I don't know, they might could come back and do a little like 2-issue miniseries or something with her as Harley Scarecrow or something, you
Well,
know.
coming out of the gate in Infinite Frontier, the first Batman story arc, I think, is supposed to be dealing with Scarecrow. So I think it's kind of
Yeah, I think
odd
I
that they
seen
would
him on
crap
the
on him
cover.
before they try to turn him into a story arc.
Yeah, true.
So, read of the week for Future State for you, what was it? I got mine waiting.
Oh man. I mean, I read books from like the last 3 weeks. Yeah, Swamp Thing was really good. I guess
Dang.
that was this week, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Imperious Lex was the week before, right?
Yes, Superman versus Imperious Lex. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was surprisingly good. I really just don't, in general, I don't really care that much for Superman books, and I really liked that one. You know,
I hate hearing that.
so I would say, 2 weeks ago, Imperious Lex, and then this week I would say best Future State book was probably Swamp Thing.
Dude, I hope to God, I don't know who's going to be writing the new title through Infinite Frontier, but I hope to God it's Rom V. This has been
It
like
is.
the breakout writer for me. Like I didn't read Catwoman pre-Future State. You know, I picked up the
No,
titles.
but I had been hearing that the Catwoman run was really good.
Like everyone, you know, is like Donny Cates, big guy over at Marvel. You have Joshua Williams gets a lot of love at DC, but you hear a lot about Tynan at DC. But I hope to God they give this guy some room to really get out there to the masses. You know, put him on a heavily popular book. So he's got chops, man. This guy is really knows how to work a comic book. It is insane.
In fact, you know, I feel like Rom V is kind of writing. I don't know. This might be a really weird comparison, but Chip Zdarsky on Daredevil for
Yeah.
Marvel, like the level of like fandom and conversation and interest that I'm hearing, like that's what Chip Zdarsky is doing on Daredevil. I'm hearing kind of the same thing about Catwoman from Rom V, like same level of just like diehards that think it's like the best runs of those characters they've seen in a long time.
I don't know how he was able to like capture the essence of Alan Moore's run, but he did it in his own way. You know, no one is going to be able to capture that exact same essence, but dealing with the way that he took this instead of necessarily dealing internally with Swamp Thing, he was trying to solve his internal problems with external solutions. You know, he was trying to find humanity and he couldn't, so he creates his own outside of himself. And the level of research this guy had to do into anatomy just to write this book was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool stuff. This one felt more like Alan Moore's, more reminiscent of Alan Moore's run than the first issue did to me, but I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I love the way that it turned out. And I love that, like, this was kind of like the cap on something, you know, like this almost ends like at a point where he could pick up at the end of this and pick a whole new avatar and everything and really create an interesting story that weaves this back into the mythos of what future Swamp Thing would be, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up that title when Infinite Frontier starts. I'm not going to miss a beat on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to nail it. It's I'm really excited for that now.
I was going through the solicitations over the weekend for trying to balance out and hash out what I might be getting. And there's a lot of stuff. I saw this guy online who was kind of trashing comics in a comment thread for a store, like a comic store site. He was just in their comment section trashing comics. So I don't know why he was there, but he was trying to blame a certain political group on comics tanking. He's like, just look how many titles DC has going. I'm like, I know the answer to that. And I just quickly typed over 20 and then post. And then I started naming them. And I quickly named over 20 books that'll be coming out in March, individual titles. So
Yeah.
they're about to be coming strong in March. There's a lot of good stuff up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that this has been kind of a weird thing to like shelve all of your regular line and do something like this. I mean, yes, it's weird and it's obviously trying to force you to buy this stuff so that they can recoup the cost they put into already like developing it before it got scrapped. Like all of that's obvious, but at the end of the day, Future State's been better than I think anybody expected. Even
And I
like the
gotta tell
most
you,
naysayers of naysayers have said, I'm kind of surprised at how many of these I've actually liked.
and it's really when you think about it, like taking all that we know, put it to the side. There's been so many big events from all the publishers that do big events where major changes happen this Wednesday, and then next Wednesday we're back to the regular books after the event. I think it's been cool because, like, I follow DC closely. I was
Mhm.
all in the death metal stuff. That was a heavy, heavy event. Like when you have that many, there was 7 issues and multiple one shots in between each issue that actually counted toward the story. None of them were throwaway. They all counted. So that was an extensive read. And having this 2 month breather before we hit the ground running again has been nice from that perspective too, which normally isn't done. You have a big crisis, then next week you're trying to pick up the pieces and you're still feeling the crisis. This breather has been much appreciated.
Mhm. No doubt.
So
Yeah, I didn't read any of the death metal stuff, but that's what I've heard from everybody. Is like it was just such a heavy packed event that any change of pace from that, whether you liked it or not, a change of pace is always nice.
hmm and it's definitely stuck with me. It's not like I've like forgotten any of it. They did it really well, but I think this breather was really good in this event because they did like the Flashpoint reset, and they've done so many resets and just ran right into Rebirth, and I think that it might have all those people that were complaining about metal, they've had that weren't even reading it, but were still complaining about this, that, da da da, because that was the majority of people that complain about books they're not reading them. And they have 2 months to get over their normal complaint stuff and start complaining about something else, and then they're handed a brand new slate of comics with number ones, which a lot of people love. And so I think I think marketing wise, it's going to help too. Like not just
Mhm.
trying to recoup their losses, but that might be
Kind of
the player
reset the
move moving
audience.
forward. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
definitely a good move moving forward. I hope they come up with other cool stuff like this because it
yeah,
worked out well in my opinion.
yeah. What do
Enough
you
of
want
DC.
to?
I'm surprised that we still have as many viewers here as we do talking about DC for this long because I know the
Well,
general
I was gonna
audience is
say, do
not
you want to
busy yet.
cap DC with Batcat number 2? I know that one's probably like 2 weeks old now, but that I mean, you know where I was at on even reading it, and I was like, I'll read it for the conversation. And the first one was good for that, and then the second one, I was like, holy crap, like I am in this
Boom!
deep.
Boom!
Yes.
Now, what for? All right, you're a heavy reader. You do some writing yourself, so you have a very unique perspective that even myself, who's an absolute layman when it comes to literature, all I do is sit back and enjoy it. So you have a unique perspective to it that I don't have. Is it difficult for you to follow the story?
Um, the first issue, I felt like it kind of was because it was pretty much like being thrown in the deep end. And this second issue, like now that I'm kind of adjusting to like, I don't know where I'm at, but I'm just enjoying the journey. I think that really changed my perspective on it a lot. What I can tell you, what I really loved about this second issue is from the top, it felt like it just feels like the animated series
Yeah.
universe. Like the way that she comes in and there's music playing in the background and it fits the scene that you're watching at the moment, and you get like the title set up and all that, like that. And then every time that they went back to like current era Batman and Catwoman, I guess like the present, at least how I assume that is. Whenever they're in suit and they're on the rooftops, like that part feels a lot like the animated series as well. And so
Clay
that
Mann's
really hooked
art
me in a
on it
lot.
is amazing.
Yes.
Clay
Oh
Mann
my
is
God. It's
rushing it. And for me, I feel like I read Tom King stuff. Like this is his third DC book that's running right now. Strange Adventures, amazing. Rorschach is turning out to be awesome as well. And this one, they're all three formatted slightly different, but the same concept. Like Rorschach, we have a detective who's trying to solve an assassination attempt that ended with two people killed, and he's telling it by investigating, and you're flashbacking to his investigation. He's talking to someone, and their answers you're getting to see and read through. So we're getting a flashback mode. With Strange Adventures, it's literally a dual story. You have the ongoing present being told, as well as these horrific events of the past that kind of tainted the character of the present, that's probably going to come up and bookend perfectly to the start of the present story. And then you have this one, which he's doing three stories. You have Old Woman, Catwoman, who was talking with Joker, which you can either call that the present, or either you can say that's the distant future after the fallout. Then you have what I assumed is the present, with Catwoman and Batman kind of doing their thing, and you see how like that distrust is building amongst them, and she's not necessarily as loyal to him as you would assume, that she's still moonlighting around and working with the Joker for whatever reasons we haven't seen yet. And then you have the next level of everything and the even farther back flashbacks, and it just seems like they kind of make it pretty simple for us, because they change the style. Like the costume and everything is different in each one, and it kind of stays consistent for its time era. But I haven't had a hard time following it. I can get why people don't get it very easily. It's not a light read. You definitely have to pay attention to the panel work and the dialogue and stuff really closely to catch it. But
Yeah.
building it very nicely already, even after two issues.
I mean, there's definitely not like, I don't know, like there's not really any I guess like I don't know, like there's no streamlined linear storytelling, right? You're just seeing all these different moments in their lives, but all of these moments kind of fit into the same like similar theme, And so I think that's probably a big part of it, is you walk away feeling like the story hasn't moved very much necessarily, but a lot more of like what the characters are thinking and doing.
Yes.
Like it's a lot of character exploration in a way that I've never really seen character exploration, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's how that's pretty much how all of his maxi series go. Like and I've told that to a few different people I've talked to about this series. Like, dude, you're gonna have to hang in there. And none of the other people I talked to are reading Strange Adventures or Rorschach, but that, like his Mr. Miracle run, that's how they pretty much all are. If you want like that heavy plot movement forward, you're gonna have to get to 6 or 7, because that's not what it's about necessarily. The plot's there, and the characters are where he's really focusing on.
Yeah, like the story is, at least as I'm assuming at this point, the story is the old ones, right? Like she showed up at the Joker's place. Like that was the story in the first one. She shows up at the Joker's place. Everything else that happens in that book is just flashback pieces to tell you why she showed up at the Joker's place. And then in this one, you get the whole thing with the neck. That's the story. That's the plot. All the other scenes in that book are all just pieces of memories, flashbacks to help explain why this is happening now, And so I think that's where people are a little confused. I think, or like why I think somebody wouldn't like it, is because they're looking for the story like kind of in the present day, Batman and Catwoman, but really the story is the end, like it's telling the story of the end of Batman and the Joker and Catwoman,
People wanted to know how Tom King would have ended that run, and he took it all the way to Elderly.
Yeah, because that's absolutely the story we're getting here, is how does this end for all these characters? What is the end of their life like,
And it was rough for the Joker. That was an awesome panel too, when he comes walking out of the kitchen and she's already just standing there chill right behind him.
Yeah, that I must have looked awesome. At that like 20 times, because it makes absolutely no sense. Like he barely opens the door. He's just barely got it open enough to like get a leg through and slip through sideways, and yet somehow she's standing in the doorway behind him too. Like it makes no sense, but it's an incredible scene the way that it plays out. Like it's so cool.
So that's your moment, huh? That's your how did Clown Hunter get in Harley's apartment moment.
Very much, yes.
I'm never gonna get over that, man. I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that. Tynan better come with some of that heat. Oh my God! Speaking of that, he's going to have Joker's going to have an ongoing series in the New
Oh
Frontier,
yeah,
in the Infinite Frontier
yeah. The
stuff.
cover for it looks pretty sick.
Which cover are you referring to?
Well, all I've seen is it's like a close up of his face.
Did I send it to you, or did you see it on my Instagram?
I think I might have saw it on your Instagram. Yeah,
The
that's the only thing I know of it or about it for is because of that one image. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be Infinite Frontier stuff. They're giving him a solo series.
that was the John Jang variant. Which
Oh yeah, that's right, because he commented on it like twice.
You like that? I always get excited when he comments on my. Let's see if I can find this on here. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to attempt to screen share. Let's see if this works. Share screen. Share screen. Let's see. Share and boom.
There you go.
So that's working. I can't see because once I share screen, it goes. I can't see screen.
It's very reminiscent of those fan-made posters of Willem Dafoe as the Joker.
Oh yeah, and I do like that. John took the time to look at what he was doing too. He didn't just decide to do a random Joker picture because Joker is scarred from the events of the Joker War. The last time we saw him, his face was messed up from how that all played out. So I thought that was pretty cool that he included that on there, and that is absolutely wicked. So that went on pre-sale today at 2:00.
Nice.
And stop sharing. Yeah, that went on pre-sale today at 2:00 from the Comic Mint and Angry Beaver Comics or something like that. 789 Comics, Sad Lemon Comics. I noticed that not most, but a lot of those are above the border in Canada, I think it was. But the Comic Mint is where I ordered mine from. They're right here in the States, and I think that they're the ones that hold the exclusive, like their company logos on the back. If anyone's interested. Once again, I can't pass up a good GN cover. I can't pass up a bad one, I don't think, but I just haven't seen one yet. Haven't seen one.
Right. No experience.
Yeah.
Well, since you mentioned Tynian, what do you think about Department of Truth #5?
What? Dude, I'm hoping that the black hats are the good guys.
Yes.
I am hoping that the bad guys are the good guys. When they hold on one second. Tyler, that was Jang's first work at DC. I still don't have that one. I have all the other DC stuff. I even did a video recently when I just got in my Batman for #2. I still don't have that #1 because it was sold out from the original seller. And at this point, I don't necessarily want to buy a raw copy and it not be a 9.8 candidate because all of my books are eventually and slowly getting sent to him to get signed or remarked before getting slabbed, and that already puts potential wear on a book. And all of the ones that I found graded or signed already are really, really expensive because I only want the virgin one. I don't want the trade dress one. I'm just kind of going for the limited one of each of his books before I try to fill in the back stuff. But that is definitely the best Joker that he's done. If you're not counting, I mean, this is technically Bruce Wayne, but that one is up there. That one is definitely up there. That is insane. But back to Department of Truth. I'm hoping the Black Hats are the good guys. When he came to talk to Cole at the end, like the rest of the issue was cool, fine, great, whatever. But that conversation at the end, there was so much packed into there. And it might be something, it might not be. But when he was talking about why they exist and how Cole is just assuming that the truth that he's accepted and the truth that the world lives in is the accurate one, I'm like, oh my God. Like that being the case, the world might be flat. They might have made it a globe. Originally in our history of civilization, it was flat, So maybe these people who are coming along, maybe they turned it into a globe.
We once, at one point in time, like the unanimous belief was
the
that
scientific consensus.
Yeah, we were the center of the universe.
The
So that means
geocentric
we
model.
really were. Yeah, we really
Yeah.
were. Like somebody convinced us that maybe we're not, and so now we're not. Like, dude, like this is what I thought was so genius about the way he wrote this. Like, I remember page 2. I was like, wait a minute. This means that like if we don't believe somebody exists, they don't exist. So like this loner in his basement that's on the internet, if like everybody stopped believing he really exists, does he stop existing? Like, what if the only people that really know him is like his mom and dad, and they both die? So now nobody, so he's gone, but yet people online know him and know that he exists, but probably by a screen name. So does he actually turn into his screen name? So I'm already thinking that, right? And then 2 pages later, like page 4, I'm like, it starts to make me think like, so how many people have to believe something? Like, is it a 50% thing? And then he like 2 pages later, he starts to get into the conversation in his apartment with dude. And it's like, he starts answering those questions. I'm like, this is Tiny's genius writing. Like he made me already start asking those questions by not even actually asking them in the book. But
now,
then
did you
like he
catch
was
the
setting
little?
me for the whole conversation, you know?
Did you catch the statement that I forget what is the guy's name? The black hat guy.
I can't think of it right now. This is
Anyways,
the first time they told us his name, so
yeah,
and they only say it once.
the guy that is in charge of the black hat organization that the Department of Truth is out there fighting against, he ends up in Cole's apartment and he makes this statement that well, that's my dad. What do you say? If a man says something, there's no woman around, he's still.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. But when he made that statement to Cole about after the during the last big war, they were holding the real truths for themselves. So that kind of makes me think that there's an actual record of what the original truth might be somewhere, and that the Department of Truth is holding it. And it makes me kind of think of that movie Wanted, like they're holding the answers from all their employees and just running the department however they want to run the department. So I wonder if the world that Cole's living in that we're seeing is the actual one that lines up with the original truths that they're keeping from the rest of the world. So I think the department's about to be corrupt.
Well, man, I'm probably gonna like expose myself as some kind of crazy kook, but do you know what like blockchain is? Do you understand what that is?
What is it?
Blockchain. They usually talk about it with Bitcoin because that is how Bitcoin works. But blockchain itself is simply a system of like everybody has the same copy of something. So if somebody were to try to like change something, right? So like if you go into a bank, right? You take money in, you put money out, it goes on the ledger, and every transaction that bank makes, it goes on this ledger. So once the ledger's full, it goes onto the block. It's chained to the block before it. So
Gotcha.
and so everybody has the same record, and so it gets updated every time an official transaction's made. So if somebody else changes their copy of the book, you can see everybody else's copies and say, no, this is the actual truth. Something is not right in your book, you know? Just like accountants like balancing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's decentralized. So everybody has a copy. So if the copies don't line up, we know there's an issue somewhere. So that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, that's what it reminds me of. Like, what if there is like a decentralized truth where there are people that have copies of the actual true truth and the real world, you know, that we have forgotten because we no longer look at these ledgers. But if we could find all these copies, we could see what does and doesn't line up and what really is and isn't true and what has been changed and when it was changed.
Like they can get into so much more now, kind of talking about that concept of like forgotten history and like the whole Clovis first model, like humans first appeared in the Americas.
Are dinosaurs real? Are dinosaurs real? What if some like
all of it
kooky scientists like made fake dinosaur bones and then buried them, and then people saw these bones, so now they started to believe there were dinosaurs, so now there technically are dinosaurs, but there never really were. We're just like, this book can go so far.
Yeah, it's about to really unravel. So I love this issue. I think this was by far probably my favorite issue yet, just because of that conversation. And I think that this guy's clearly telling the truth about the Department of Truth, or he wouldn't have shown up to Cole like that. And I'm still wondering why Cole is so important, and him pointing out that the department had been grooming him. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's more to Cole. Like, the department wants him. The Black Hats aren't willing just to shoot him. They really want him to see what they have to say. Why was the department waiting at the edge of the world to kill everyone but keep Cole? Like, what's his deal? What's
Yeah.
Cole?
Yeah, I love the way that it just like makes you question all of these like
Everything.
existential things, and so then they like kind of seep that together with your personal life, and you're like, now I have questions about my whole entire life.
Yeah. Am I in the Truman Show?
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited to see where this goes, because like every issue just makes me think more and more about like how this can extrapolate out from like this one character. Like Ruby showed up, and I was just like, I don't even know if I trust her now. Like,
How did she know he was there?
yes, oh my god, there's so
Why
much.
did she show up? She had
And
no
I feel
reason
like
to
I really
show up.
had a grasp on it for like the first like 3 issues, and these last 2 have just been like, oh my god, like I have
I'm
so many
glad that
questions.
they actually addressed the way that issue 4 ended with Cole saying, "I'm the good guy." Bang bang. So now that we have this issue 5, if you look back and read issue 4 again, is he? Is
Yeah.
he? He's trying to convince himself that. And we spend this first issue him trying to balance those whole events of him killing those people for the sake of the greater good. And now we're being told that you're working on the wrong side. So I thought that was poor Cole, man. This guy's going to have a breakdown before we
Oh
ever
my
find out
god.
what happened.
I felt his anxiety. I was like, good
Yeah.
lord, man. Like, I don't know. Like, man, like you could just convince people that you're somewhere. Like, you could convince people to believe that you're like in a bank vault or something. And so then you're there and you could just take all the money. And then like
You've really been
manipulate
thinking
them
about
to
this.
start thinking, no, you're not in the vault. So now you're going to be like somewhere else, like with all the money. Like,
With all the money. How many people would you have to convince?
but I mean, you just think like a tiny little cult of personality, like some Jim Jones stuff. He could have been telling his followers to believe, because the threshold was set pretty low, because he said only like 5 to 6% of people believe in the moon landing. And we saw that change in issue 2?
The threshold was even lower than that. That was issue 1, but the threshold was even lower than that because in issue 2 is when they delve into the satanic churches in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that was a very small event.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
central.
So it didn't take much more than just like a cult leader to get, a couple hundred followers together, and boom, he could be
Rob a
like,
bank.
yeah, I mean, he could be a supervillain. It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
This book is really making me question and think about a lot of things. It's really interesting. I like it.
Staying with Tynan, Something is Killing the Children's most recent issue came out, and I don't really think there's any major revelations in it. They just try to draw some monsters in.
It was really cool the way that we got to see her use the squid and the powers and stuff, and like kind of show us a new. I don't know. It feels like when James Bond gets like new gadgets, like, okay, now we can like really do some damage, and the way she played out her plan.
Knowing that this issue is limited to 15 issues, I hope they don't go any farther into it than that. Like the whole new abilities and new powers. So there's no time to really hash any of it out. And when they announced that it's ending at issue 15, the first thing I thought about was toward when the House of Slaughter first said you have to go clean up the town, Ellie's not going to do it, and that member was very excited. She walks out of the room to go get her team, and she walks into a hallway, and there's a door that says the black room, and there's a door that says the white room, and she about walks into one of the doors and stops and goes into the other door, and you go in, and everyone has on the same color masks. I wondered this whole time what's up with the people in the other door. Why didn't she choose them? Are they too crazy? Are they not crazy enough? And now I'm sad that we might not ever know.
Oh, I think we're gonna know. Cause Tiny said we're getting like 8 issues this year, and so my assumption was that we were gonna get like 8 issues in, like what's that, August or so. But knowing that it stops at 15, but he had said like 8 issues, I think is what he said, or some number close to that. that means that they can go on a long hiatus and then they could come back in what, like October,
You
November,
think
and
they're going to
still,
bliss it?
I don't know, maybe. I don't think that this is over. It's been too successful for Boom Studios. It's been too successful for Tiny, and it's been too successful for Werther Delera. So
I
I
don't know.
don't see this going away, but I think they're at that point. You see like some of these like no name artists and stuff. Like whenever they like take off suddenly on a series, like they'll be going real hard, and then they'll kind of have to break out and do something else because you don't want to get pigeonholed into the something is killing the children artist. Like you do
Yeah.
want to like flex and show your talent. I think that's what happened with Dan Mora. Like he had been working but not really, and then he got a pretty decent amount of success on doing the 20 issues of Go-Go, and then he blew up, and the biggest issue with getting him to come back to Power Rangers is like he's got a lot going on across the board. Now he's going to be on Detective Comics and
Dude, he's crushing it on Dark
yeah.
Detective. He is
So you see, like
crushing
they
it.
get more projects, they get more busy. So I totally understand taking a break from something that the audience will come back to whenever it comes back, so that you can kind of start something new, so that you always have, some kind of leg to stand on.
And it seems like a lot of indie titles will do that more often than the main publishers. They'll do limited arcs. Like you see a lot
Oh,
of
Once
stuff
in
like
Future. That's the other one I was trying to think of.
Once in Future. You see Kanto does that. You have a lot of
Mhm.
secondary series come out with like a tagline, might get something is killing. Like the name's not long enough, but they're going to come out with something is killing the children again, or
Yeah.
something's killing the children over here.
Well, even
Whereas,
one of my favorites is Bitter Root, and they like in 2 years they've done 10 issues. They do 5-issue story arcs, and they'll come and you'll get 5 months in a row. You'll get the story arc, and then they took a break and they did a little one shot that filled in some gaps, and then they come back with 5 issues at the beginning of last year for their second story arc. And it wraps up, but puts a to be continued kind of thing, and the arcs feel very separate. It reminds me a lot of like how we get series, these seasons from Netflix and stuff, And I really like that model because it gives the creators more time to work on more projects. But we're getting like some really great content out of just getting these story arcs once a year, a 5-6 issue arc, and you can do a lot with that.
I'm trying to look at the other titles you might have read. You said you read all these today?
Yeah.
That list?
Some of these I read like yesterday and the day before, but literally like maybe 3 or 4 of those books I read the other days. Most of this I just read today.
The first story arc of We Only Find Them When They're Dead finished up with issue 5.
Oh yeah, yeah. What did you think of that?
Dude, I enjoyed it. Simone DeMayo's artwork. This is the perfect book for it. What happened with Richter played out perfectly. There's no guilt on anyone's hands. I like that we haven't gotten into a lot of character like backstory with individual characters, and really just focus around the event that caused Richter to chase them. And I think now that we have that whole little story, I think that looking back on it, that was very smooth. Like they kind of, because there's so many big concepts and you're dealing with like there's no world building, there's literally universe building and the whole concept of these gods and everything. They're kind of giving us that slowly around that really, really close to home story about literally family members and that divide between them, and find out that Malik's family was just a bunch of criminals that were trying to make it in a universe that isn't set up for them to succeed in. And Richter can't let go of her anger because of the events that transpired that caused her fiance to die, and she's kind of hiding her anger under the guise of the intergalactic law that gives her the okay to be mad at these people and pretty much gives her a license to kill. And there was no coming back from that. There was none. And thank you, small little space fragment. You settled it for us. That was nuts.
Yeah, and that was referenced in like the first issue, right?
Yeah.
First one, right? They talk about like you don't have to worry about like the meteors and stuff. It's the small ones that you almost can't see that are the problem, And they address that and everything. And I had all but forgotten that, And whenever I saw that line behind her head, I was like, did what I think happened just happen? And then like
And then
2 panels later, they're like, yeah,
You got to
it was
watch
like,
out for
oh
the
my
small
god.
ones.
I thought
That
it
was
was really
wicked.
cool. I think like, oh man, whenever they came to the other side, so probably what, like issue 3. That's when I started saying, like, I think that what's going to happen is like somehow they're going to wrap up all this stuff with Richter. It will be a good way to kind of like give us an origin story for all these characters, but at the same time separate them out so that now they can go off into the universe and explore and be free from like all the weird politics and stuff that they were dealing with in the earlier issues.
I don't necessarily think we're going to see the same ship crew members in the next story arc.
Don't think so?
Not necessarily. I'm like not settled on the fact that I think that their story's over, but their story's kind of over.
Well, I think they're still going to pursue finding a god.
There was.
Of course, I don't know. I guess at the end
I
there,
don't think. I don't think that anyone's going to have to try to pursue them anymore. I think
well,
pursuing them might be over with.
yeah, that's a good point.
So
Yeah,
you
so
had
I don't know.
4 crew members. We were following 4 crew members in Richter.
Mm-hmm.
Richter killed a crew member.
And Richter died.
Richter died. Malik's floating out in space, and the other 2 dipped.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So
And not only is he floating out in space, he found a living god. The whole thing with him and Richter, which the whole reason he was pushing for the living god was because of his emotional like breakdown from the events that happened. You know, he's just finding a little suicide mission to run on. And then the living gods are coming to them at the end. That was the big reveal that a whole slew of living gods pops up in front of other people, not even them.
yeah,
because
because
somewhere
it
else.
went back to like other people. It was like here's a new ship and stuff, and
So the way
it's
that
like
they presented this with book 1, part this, I'm hoping that they
almost like an
kinda-
anthology
an
sort of thing.
anthology. Yes, you've been talking about anthologies for months now. DC Comics heard you. Batman Urban Legends is coming,
True.
and I think that other people might be onto it too. They're seeing the success with things like miniseries, maxi series, the Black Label run, stuff like that. If you can give somebody, we'll do this many issues, it's easier for people to invest in something like that. Like the times is a changing. You know, maybe people are
Yeah.
looking more for that.
Well, this absolutely makes sense with where we're at in media because you have like anthologies like we were talking about, and you have these different characters. But one thing that's very popular is Game of Thrones and The Expanse, and there's a couple of other shows that are doing this like very sprawling storytelling that comes together at some point. And so we know that Jason and his sister, I forget her name, but they're out there in the universe with the ship, right? So those are characters just floating around to come back at any point in the future, you know. This next arc could move over to different characters and we could explore their story, and maybe some of them die, some don't, who knows, and then you move on to another set of characters, and at some point maybe some event brings some of these characters back in and out, and very like weaving storytelling, just
we're,
like
we're looking for the
those other series.
backstory on this 4-man crew when really you just saw 5-issue backstory on the 2 that survive.
Yeah.
This was just the backstory. We're looking for the backstory from issue 1, but issue 1 is the start of the backstory. It's just something I was thinking about with just
Yeah. And we've also established from the very
happening.
beginning that there's like, they're not afraid to talk about things that are happening in different timelines, so
Not at all.
just the very idea.
Very Tom King of them.
Yes. So I mean, that even leads to the idea like we could see these 2 characters appear much older down the road, like even if the events that we see don't feel, they could show up and it's like old man Jason, and we're just like, why are you old now? And it's like, oh well, because everything you saw then was like actually 50 years ago,
That was
like,
back before we found the living God.
Yeah.
That was in the time of dead gods.
Yeah. Because this does feel like kind of a fantasy epic kind of thing where you would be building out like this massive universe where something like that could happen,
I think it would be a cool direction to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool though. I really liked the way it wrapped up. Like, I just thought it was great that they brought back the little meteorite pieces from issue like number 1. That was great.
And see, that's a nice little bookend, if you think about it. Nice little bookend. If you're reading just a standalone trade paperback or graphic novel, as the kids call them these days, talk about a complete story.
Yeah. Yeah, because not only is that a great piece to bring back, but also just the idea like we were promised at the end of the first issue that we were going to see a living God. And not only did we see a living God, but now there's a whole bunch of living gods to see. So well, that's another perfect little theme to be bookended like that, you know?
Al Ewing's a good writer, man.
Yeah, I was reading this issue. You know, a lot of people fell off, and I've heard people say like Immortal Hulk is great, but they don't always feel like they understand what he's trying to say with it. And as I was reading this fifth issue of We Only Find Them When They're Dead, like all these pieces were coming together. I was like, yeah, this is like I see what they're saying. You know, every issue I felt like I learned a lot, but I learned nothing. And then this issue, it feels like all those pieces just kind of fell into place. And
what it is
what his vision is for more of the universe.
It's not really that classic format, this stuff, you know. He tells stories in a random kind of set, you know. And with Immortal Hulk, I got to a point after issue 50, after issue 25, I'm like, dude, the story's completely dropped. It's really like kind of the quality of it seemed to go down, and it seemed just to kind of go to left field. And then it immediately just picked right back up and brought all that in together. And not just did it bring all that in together, the events from 26, 27, and 28 that kind of had me just like bored with the series, because it went from being this total horror aspect book to kind of attacking social political issues out of nowhere. So that being said, like it built from there and went into that direction it was heading to. But then issue 43, almost 20 issues later, we're seeing the fallout of those social political issues happening in this book. And not only do we see the fallout of it, basically there is a huge cult following for the Hulk. And it was kind of getting kind of attached to like things that you can find similarities in the world today. And then they kind of haven't touched on it for a while. But the Hulk has also been off doing other stuff, but now he's kind of, the Hulk is this Joe Fix-It, but he's in Bruce's body instead of being the Gray Hulk. And he's walking around and he sees a kid who was part of that little Hulk following walking around with a green hoodie with the Hulk fist on the back, and the cops just run over to him and give him a bunch of crap, and he starts resisting, and they start like giving him the old classic, the cops are being overly aggressive thing. And this causes Joe Fix-It, who's been flying under the radar, to actually Hulk out just to help the kid out, you know, because he sees this as an injustice and he caused this and everything. And that's all that the bad guys have been waiting on, is for him to Hulk out so they can find him. So his own actions cause these people to rise up in his favor, and then he kind of dips out and abandons them, and they're still there, and he sees that he's caused this, so now he's having to go in to correct it, thus putting himself in front of the UFOs and Henry Gyrich, who have the ability to actually kill him, and he's in like the weakest form he's ever been in. So you see that whole like actions have consequences things, and it's that many issues later, you know. It's really cool. And I've heard a few people talk about this issue on other shows I watch, and they said they didn't really care for like the kind of the social political stuff and the cops being overly aggressive toward that kid and everything. But Al Ewing's a very socially conscious person. You can see elements of that in We Only Find Them When They're Dead, and he's kind of making sure that it doesn't matter who you are, you can find something, a piece of yourself in his books. And that's going to be a little odd for some people who aren't necessarily familiar with those other types of people out there. But he's got characters that are in there. I got the first trans character I've ever seen in a comic was in this, and there was no reason at all to point it out. I didn't even realize it was a trans person until they told me, you know. And it's a scientist doctor that works with him, so he includes pretty much everyone in his books, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's something that like you know, I don't have a problem with it, but I know a lot of people it might just catch them off guard, or they're not used to it, but.
No, I really appreciate what he's doing as far as like building something that feels like, I don't even want to say like present, but like just ahead of now, you know?
Yeah.
Like the world that we envision for just down the road, you know, what we're working toward every day, you know? He's kind of like showing us what that looks like, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, you've heard me say it tons of times. I'm sure you've seen it in my comments on other people's top pick video stuff is, where's Immortal Hulk? Why is Immortal Hulk? You missed Immortal Hulk. You need to be reading Immortal Hulk. It's just been awesome. I'm a little biased to the Hulk, but this has been the most enjoyable run of Hulk I've read in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Few exceptions, but it is really good.
Well, I need to get off pretty soon, but I think We Live is really the only other book on this list that I gave you. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's anything you wanted to talk about other than that.
I gotta work at 5. I gotta get up at 5 in the morning, and it's 10:30 here, so I'm good with talking about that and then dipping out.
Okay, cool, awesome. So, what'd you think of We Live number 4?
They don't stop with the twist. Just, they do not stop. Every book has its own twist, completely in the opposite direction than you're looking, and there's no rest in this book whatsoever. You think that everything's going to calm down for these people, these characters are following, and it just continuously gets worse in every way that you never expected. And I love it.
I love the way that this issue played out once again. Like the pacing, like it starts with just an assault on your senses. Like watch us brutally murder and drag these dead kids' bodies for a while, and have all these other characters like very intelligently figure out what to do, and like all that stuff was really cool, you know. But it's just like all this stuff happening, and you know, it's like real intense, it's real in your face, and then they go get on the train and it just like went tranquil, and I was like, this is just like the last issue when they're walking across the plane, you know, like
2-page spread. Woo!
Yeah, just like the way that hits you every time. Like they got on that train and it goes quiet, and I was just like, whew. Like I feel like I just ran to catch the train in time, you know. Like I love the way they are pacing these stories. It hits you in the feels every time.
I did not see that coming when they finally got to the extraction point. And the fact that they make us as the readers sit through that emotionally heartbreaking moment where she's actually telling her brother goodbye and forcing him to go without her, just to tell us that, oh, yeah, this isn't goodbye.
The floating letter. Oh my God.
Yeah, this isn't goodbye. He's not off. You didn't just send him off to like make sure that he survives whatever terror is coming to this planet. You're tasked with going to save his life because you just sent him to a slaughter. Like, I'm like, God.
Oh my goodness. Oh, they're so good, man. They are.
And what
so
got
good,
me
like,
is what's the little kid's name who was on the cover?
I don't remember the cover. Is it
The
the
little robotic arm kid with the companion?
Humbo.
Humbo. Dude, I don't know why I thought that his companion was safe.
I know, right? Oh my
I don't
God.
know why.
Alice.
Alice. Oh my
Alice
God.
the gorilla.
She's like, not y'all go, I'll stay. And she's in there. You see her just taking hits. She's getting completely destroyed.
He's
and
like,
Humbo's
jump
like,
now. And you're like, you have to jump. You have to jump. Like, just jump, you know?
And he goes back.
Oh, that, like, whenever they rip the robot open, you know? I was like, no, you know? They open and it's empty. I was like, whew. And then, like, you see Alice, and I'm like, yeah, get him, Alice. And then they're like, jump. And I'm like, you got to jump. If you don't jump, you got to jump. And then, oh my goodness, like, and then right after that's when you get Tala's letter to Hatoto, and it's just like ripping your heart out, like string by string. Like, oh my goodness, it's
all for nothing.
Yes, all for nothing. Yeah, just to turn that around on you and make you feel even worse for her, you know.
And I hate seeing what's his name, Hatoto.
Yeah,
I hate seeing. Yeah, he's actually this world's breaking him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're watching it break him.
Whenever she said, "What, you don't want to wear the cape anymore?" Like,
yes,
dude, like, oh my God. I was
and
like,
he isn't. What's crazy is he isn't new to this.
Place.
Yeah, and he's not new to this world like this because he's so young. This is how his life's been. But even that being the case, he had some kind of innocence and hope in him. He had some kind of good in him that he was able to hold on to that. But it's breaking him, man. And I'm like, geez, I need the next issue today.
Yeah.
But it's a week from Wednesday.
I feel like I ask you this every time, but is there an issue count on this that we know of?
Not that I'm aware of. I really don't look. Signing out, guys. Great chat. Got to take my meds, change my pens, and get in bed. Stay wet. All right, big. We're about to be signing off. You appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be crazy, like going through this series. I don't know, like, because I don't know when, like, with Origins, I feel kind of good knowing like how many issues there are, you know. But like, how long is We Live gonna destroy my heart, you know?
I hope. I mean, this sounds weird, but I hope indefinitely. I don't see how this.
I know, right?
More than 6, but I haven't read anything like this, dude,
No.
ever. And I'm sorry for anybody out there who didn't pick it up. If it's still easily attainable, I highly suggest going to get it because this is
Yes.
going to be like one of those books, like Murder Falcon, for example, that it doesn't matter how many people read it now or how many people talk about it now. People are going to find this book over time. And the more that people
Yes.
find this book, it's going to absolutely hit them in all the right places. And eventually, someone you know is going to read it and they're going to call you and they're going to tell you to read it. So you might as well do it now. You might as
Yeah,
well
I
get in
was
front of
thinking
it.
the same thing because they have that the Image Comics like bingo board thing going around, and it's just like all the different Image series, and like which ones have you read? You get to mark.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like that was going around today, and as I was looking at that, I was like, man, like so many of these series, even if I haven't read these, I know so much about them because even though they're like 5 years old, like people are still talking about them and discovering them today, and that's exactly how I see We Live. Like, I don't want to say like it's timeless, as in like forever ever, but in a way it is. Like this feels like the kind of story that even if you missed it now, you could pick it up in a few years and it would still hit just as hard.
Absolutely. I like that it's definitely not attached to anything going on in the world today, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
But for some reason, somehow it is so relatable on so many
Mhm.
levels. It is insane. But it's 10:38. I'm not going to keep you forever. I know that if our track record shows anything, we can just keep rambling until we regret it.
Yeah, I
So
know, right?
I'm going to go ahead and get ready to sign out. You want to let everyone know what's going on? Also, I have a huge request from you because this just hit me. You're like the king of creator content. Like, why haven't you reached out to the Miranda brothers yet?
uh, I feel like I either did or I think I kind of like tweeted something, that kind of vaguely referenced it, but I don't know. Honestly, like I think I typed a message one time and didn't send it because it
Man, I
felt like
love
a
your book. I
huge
would love to
ask,
talk to you on my channel sometime.
It just feels like so out of my league, like, and
Are
also
they?
some I don't know if
You
they
talk to
are or
people on
aren't.
bigger publications than Ablaze. Well, they're on Aftershock, right?
Aftershock, yeah. I mean, the other thing is too, like I usually like if I know a creator, say like David Pepos that I have an interview with coming out on Tuesday, like yeah, this is only going to be only one issue of Scout's Honor is out, but he's written other series, and I don't know anything about the Miranda brothers, so I kind of hate to like try to interview them and only know like the two issues that were out at the time or something, Now that we're like 5 issues deep, I would feel a little bit better about interviewing them.
Yeah. Is this their first comic book they've worked on?
I don't think so, but I honestly I've never read any of their stuff. I didn't know anything about them until this
Yeah,
book.
this is
So
my introduction to them as well. But I don't think I could. I don't know if I'd want to read anything else they've done until I find out if this has an ending and I get to that ending. I don't want to touch anything else that has their style or their unique take on books until I'm done with this. I
yeah.
want this to be I want this experience to continue how it is because that's how this really has been. It's been an absolute brand new experience with
Oh
comics.
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like I would like to read their other work and stuff, but I definitely don't want to taint this experience before it's over because good lord, these books are different.
Yes. But yeah, what do you got coming up on your channel? I know you have that big interview dropping Tuesday, which I'm excited about. I'll probably be listening to it on Wednesday. I'm off on Tuesdays, and I'll
Mhm.
fire up those interviews while I'm grooming dogs at work. And you think about it, those poor dogs. I'm grooming them and I have to stop and comment every now and then.
Feel like getting a haircut all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a video drop this morning. I did a AOK unboxing from Ruben Guzman. He sent me a couple of really cool books to have. So that one's really good. Go check that out. And that's a quick one. I think it's only like 5 minutes long, 6 minutes long. So that's a quick and easy watch. And then of course next Thursday will be my comic book upcoming releases video. But Tuesday morning, I will have a nice long interview with David Pepos. And he does quite a few interviews. So I went into it knowing that. And I think I found a more unique avenue for myself, and some stuff I don't feel like he's really talked to or talked about, in a lot of his other interviews. So I really hope everybody watches it because I think it'll be different, even if you already know about David.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that one. I've heard a lot of stuff about Scouts Honor from different channels and stuff. So want to see what this unique take you keep talking about is.
Yeah.
I want to start
And
the
the cool
interview
thing
asking him who he voted for.
right.
Yeah.
Scouts Honor, there's also merit badges for it because it's about like Boy Scouts in the future.
I do
And
know
so
that. Do you know why I know that?
why?
Because I watch your videos.
Very true. So yeah, that's really cool. If you are picking up Scouts Honor, he said make sure you ask your retailer for your merit badges because they should be getting them with every shipment. If not, then you can reach out to him or Aftershock Comics, and they have those. So there is a way to get them.
Very cool. I've got a video. It's already uploaded. It'll be available in the morning at 7 a.m. That's when all my videos, I put all my recorded videos up at 7 a.m. And it's a key comic unboxing. I got another first appearance. It was a total steal of a deal that I found on eBay. Somebody did not list it very smart. It was in a run of books, and one of the books inside the run is the first appearance of a really amazing character, and they listed it as the name of the series 1 through 10 instead of listing it as first appearance of said character or anything like that. So there wasn't a lot of traffic on it, and I got it for ridiculously cheap. And I'm excited about that. I started reading the run, and the series is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I was not expecting it to be that crazy whatsoever. But yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to talking more about that probably next week because I don't want to spoil the video. But it's really cool. Then Tuesday, I'm going to try to go live around the middle of the day sometime for my new comic book day haul. Just a little live hangout for probably about 20 minutes or so, kind of just bagging and boarding what I picked up and whatnot. And Wednesday night, I'll go live around 9 o'clock Eastern time to give away that first appearance of Apocalypse right there, as well as some problem. I think I'm going to do some mystery boxes where I might let you know one book that's in them, but 3 or 4 books in a mystery box to go out to people in the live chat. And then I don't have anything planned for Thursday or Friday yet, but I do have stuff on the way in the mail, so something will probably pop up. And then new comic book day next Saturday, as always. Trying to get on a routine here.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to set my schedule. So
yeah, and dude, I've had this three day off weekend, so I've recorded a lot of stuff. I have stuff uploaded for next Saturday already for that new comic book day thing.
Nice.
That's like the one that's really time consuming for me. So I was able to do that. I'll be working next weekend, and I'm not trying to take that time away from hanging out with the wife and kids in the limited time I have.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. And thank you, everybody who hung out in the chat with us tonight, and everybody who watches this on the rewind. Be sure to hit that thumbs up or thumbs down button on the way out if you haven't already. Smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss out on the giveaway video this coming Wednesday. You got to be there to win the mystery boxes. You do not have to be present to win the X Factor. But as always, guys, have a good night. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Ryan, for coming. And I'm Mark, but we are Legion.